As some of you know, I study with Shivananda Yoga in Gurgaon, and I'm currently taking a pranayama and meditation class. And our teacher is named Namita Chowdhury. I think that's how you pronounce it. Chowdhury, it looks like. And she sent us a beautiful series of texts in our WhatsApp group, and I thought this was particularly appropriate for the new moon in Vedic Aquarius and tropical Pisces. A restless and overworked brain can only make more confusion and drain energy. We must reduce and, if possible, avoid more and more activity. Phone, internet, messaging, shows, even work without stoppage. We must start looking at wasting and draining our energy so much. We're running too fast. Stop rushing around. Stop having a things to do list. Stop planning, regretting, and feeling overworked and guilty. Slow down. Stop for a while. As an exercise this weekend, find some things you can do. Find some things you can stop doing and save 10% of your daily time doing either nothing, taking proper rest, which is Shavasana, or doing something which is more creative and calming, like painting, singing, gardening, cooking, cleaning, writing. Anything that makes you happy and anything that slows you down. It's a beautiful observance for the balsamic and the new moon when we're needing to overcome the inertia of the past, and we need to discover the purpose and the limits of the cycle we're about to begin. But most importantly, we need to release and surrender the cycle that just passed. So as we take that little piece of advice that is so appropriate for a pranayama and meditation course, how can we preserve 10% of our energy every day? The things that we do that drain our energy need to be observed. And so we're just going to try and figure out the path ahead by surrendering what's past. And the first card in this druidic spread that we do on the new moons, the pathway spread, is the card of the past. And that card is Beaver, the card of building. When you think about this creature literally stopping or routing the flow of a river or stream with its industriousness, we can think about the course that our energy, unchecked, is heading into. And as we rest at the balsamic moon, let's take a look at where the inertia is headed and whether or not we want to keep going in that direction. If we need to change direction, if we need to route the flow of energy in another direction, now would be the time to kind of sit back, reconsider, and decide if we're building with the flow and with the current that we want to be building with, or if we need to change direction and dam that flow so that we can preserve our energy. So the first card in the pathway spread is the beaver, number 22. And the second card is the present moment, and that is the turtle. This is Mother Earth's card, and the Earth herself is the where and the how, the here and the now of this present moment. With this new moon in the Vedic sign of Shatabhishek, it makes me think about the 100 connections, all of them to Earth. We like to think of ourselves as needing to save the Earth or, wanting to protect the Earth. But the fact of the matter is, she holds us. And if we disrespect the here and now, the present moment, nothing that we build will last. Our pathway itself will disappear. So the card of the present moment is the card of the Earth herself, turtle. The third card in the pathway spread is the future, and that card is action, antelope. The words, thoughts, and deeds that we use in our present moment, the ones that we have been using, need careful consideration. And we need to act karmically, right? Act with full awareness of our consequences and without attachment to the outcome. When we act from the heart space, the Earth itself, with our goal in mind, whatever that goal may be, short-term or long-term, we're in a sort of karmic action, right? It doesn't necessarily come from the mind, and it doesn't necessarily come from matter. It comes from the heart of the situation, from being aware of our place in the earth and where we're coming from, essentially. If we haven't diverted or routed our path correctly in the past, our here and now is very clouded and not so clear, and it's difficult to clearly act in a way that is in right relation to the present moment, to the past learning, and to the future. It's all kind of building to a message for me that's saying the present moment of repose, of slowing down, of the balsamic moon, and a gentle consideration of what you're building and where you're building it will lead you to right action. Effortless, equanimous action is what we're after. We want to be in balance with the past and the present. The lessons that we have just moved through are represented by the fifth card of the pathway spread, and that is feminine energy. Otter energy is number 8. So, you hear it all the time. We all have feminine and masculine energies in the wholeness of who we are. And the feminine energy is what I like to think of as receptive and accepting, as opposed to projective and penetrating energy, right? This is one side of the yin and the yang, and it's not the dark side and it's not the light side. It's the whole, it's a circle around the outside that really matters. But we learned in our recent past, as we were building on the earth, the value of receptive energy, how important it is to be accepting, innocent, joyful, equanimous, kind. And how much an overbalancing of too much of the opposite contrast, the penetrative, warlike energy, which is just as necessary, but needs to be balanced, right? Can upset the equanimity, the plans that we made in the past and the action that we'll take in the future is very effective by an overbalance of either energy. And it seems like having Otter feminine energy as a past lesson, we're learning how important it is that this archaic revival, this rebirth of the Mother Goddess, this return to receptivity can help us move forward into right relation, effortless, efficient action. So those are the lessons that we just moved through. What's working for us is possum energy, the diversion, right? It looks like we have a little bit of time to develop what our karmic action will be, and this new moon really feels like the calm before the storm. I really get calm before the storm vibes, and the energy being a little bit diverted away from the individual in this moment where we just have some time to slow down, rest, do a bit better planning than we have, a little bit better consideration. You know, possum is the creature that plays dead, and it's an amazing actor. It is even able to mimic the musk scent of dead animals through its glands. And that diversion, you know, that planned flow that came from the past and is an ability that we have right now, the ability to divert attention, to keep ourselves safe through surrender. Because this animal plays dead, but that's a very vulnerable state, right? That's literally laying yourself at the feet of your enemy. And having that working for you right now, I feel like it means we could easily be underestimated, because we've done the fawning response, right? We've done the, oh my goodness, you're such a big and terrible foe. I'm at least going to faint, if not going to die of fright. And that's not really the case. This animal then waits and is able to evade its foe by retaining and saving its energy, neither fighting nor fleeing, but waiting. Conserving energy is kind of how I feel about what this card is. So while we conserve our energy at this new moon, that's working for us. That's how I read that. The lessons moving through right now, the new lessons above the past lessons. Fear. I got this one in my personal spread today too when I threw the I Ching. Fear is an energy that calls difficulty to it. And fear is also a very valuable emotion, especially for a rabbit. Rabbit is a prey animal, and lots of other animals think they're quite tasty. So the responses that their body has developed keep them safe. And that fear that we're all kind of feeling in this situation where it's kind of the calm before the storm is useful. It keeps us alert, and it keeps us ready to take that effortless, effective action when the time is right. But we don't want to be overtaken by it, and we don't want to make bad decisions from it. So we're learning that in this present moment. And maybe this moment to step back at the balsamic and the new moon, take a look at our fear and whether or not we're giving it the appropriate amount of attention to it could be a helpful use for those lessons moving through us right now. What's working against us in this situation is deception. Owls' feathers have kind of a special structure that makes them nearly silent, even as they flap their wings, which are sometimes very large. This particular card, whereas a lot of people might, think of the bird itself as wisdom, which it is, and that's certainly a Greek interpretation of it, but this is more of an indigenous interpretation. You get wisdom from being deceived, right? You've been deceived enough that you're finally getting wise. And that's kind of how I have to read this card at this point, because deception itself is definitely working against us in many different ways. Whether it be, complacency, propaganda, fearful news, bad news, essentially, and giant powers making bad decisions. I mean, we've got a lot that we're being deceived about. So we need to be aware of that, and we need to make sure that our overall pathway knows that, the next 30 days, we're going to be dealing with quite a bit of deception because it's working against us in this spread. The overall energies for what we have going on here today at this particular balsamic moon in Vedic Aquarius and tropical Pisces is Trickster, coyote. So the coyote is kind of a bumbling but purposeful creature in this indigenous view, in the way that this pathway spread conceives of him, Coyote is generally kind of a productive idiot. Like he does things by accident that have fruitful and helpful endings. And when I look at that as an overall energy, I kind of see a stumbling to overcome the inertia of the past that's more guided by luck than by skill. Because the movement, the action of the antelope is very instinctual and very quick. And the energy that's working for us, diversion, is, I mean, it's a little comical. It's like a quick reaction that is grounded in the earth energy, informed by the feminine energy, and diversionary, like it's a diversionary tactic, right? So it's a little fearful, it's a little goofy, it's a little wise, and it's kind of planned, but it seems like there's an event, an earth event, maybe even kind of a scary earth event. I mean, that wouldn't be too surprising given everything that's going on right now, that inspires an action that almost creates itself and is almost a trickster-like diversion. We're being deceived a lot by that whole look over here, don't look over there energy. And that's kind of what the whole thing, the whole read feels like to me. It's like the informed earth action, the informed and grounded action that supports this feminine rebirth and this archaic revival, and the way that you want to flow is something that's going to move through you from a divine inspiration. This trickster energy is deceptive in the sense that it looks diversionary, and often it is kind of loudly foolish, but it's going to be the right action. This antelope card, this action card, is my right action card. So for me, what's going to happen is going to look funny and maybe even be funny, and it's probably going to be a fearful response to some sort of an earth event, or the deception that looks like an earth event, but it's going to flow into what you're building in kind of a bumbling, comical way. So, not one of our most profound messages that we've ever had with our animal card readings, but at the same time, it's about play, right? We very often forget that life is meant to be playful and meant to be fun, and not always meant to be about fear and loathing. There's a lot of deceptive forces on the planet that want to keep us out of understanding these lessons that are moving through right now. There are lessons about fear. And wouldn't it be great if some of those fearful messages and some of the scary things that are going on are solved and cured, if that is possible, through a diversionary tactic that's almost funny? May you dance with the Leela of the moment. May you not forget that this is play and that you're a player. And have a good time next 30 days. I will see you at the full moon.